Editing colors and distorting objects in Illustrator. So effects, what are effects? They are basically changes only to the appearance of a selected object. The actual selected object does not change. So we see these effects in our appearance panel. So I'm going to open the appearance panel. And so we can take a look at what's happening. So in this case, I have an effect on a box that looks like it's been brought, the corners have been brought in, and it gives the effect of petals of a flower. But it still is a box. In fact, if I turn off my pucker and bloat, you'll see that it still is a box. So let's go ahead and try this and see how this can work to your benefit. So I'm going to go into my layers. And it's a good idea, remember, to keep everything on its own layer. Right now I have the leaves and the stem, and I have the flower, and then I have another layer that was used previously. Let's go ahead and turn both of these off, and I'm going to make a new layer. And the reason why I clicked on that top layer was so that my new layer would be added to the top. New layer is always added on top of the current active layer. I'll double click this and call it Distort, so I know what's happening. So let's just create a box here, and I'll hold Shift to make it be a perfect square. So like I said, the effects are applied only as effects. It's not going to alter this box. So we have a couple of ways to do this. Now if I wanted to do more of a free distort, there's a free distort effect, and all of these effects that I can do are found under the effect menu. So effect menu, and then you're going to look for distort and transform. So here you will see the pucker and the bloat, you will see the twist, you will see some others. Let's look at free transform. So free transform is useful for distorting in perspective. So I can go ahead and grab one of my corners, and they are independent of each other, each one of the corners. So I can choose to change this in whatever kind of a distortion that I'd like to do. Click OK. And what I want you to see is that it distorted it here on my artboard, but if you look over under Appearance, you can see I have a free distort effect. And if I click on it, I can turn it off or I can turn it on. And I can click on the actual word here to then go and alter it. So it's not destructive. It is editable, and it has not destroyed my original shape. Let me just turn that off and we'll be back to our box. So now let's look at pucker and bloat. Under Effect, Distort and Transform, pucker and bloat. So whenever you get a dialog box that pops up, you most definitely want to check Preview, because I need to see what is happening. So this effect adjusts the segments between an object's anchor points. So in my box, I have an anchor point at the four corners. If I wanted to overdo this effect, if I wanted to do it to the extreme, I could go ahead and add anchor points, and that will give a whole new dynamic. So moving my slider here to the bloat or plus, we'll move the segments, and I'll just let it refresh here for a moment so you can see. It will move those segments outward, okay? And actually my anchor points have now moved inward. So segments get bloated out and my anchor points move in. Now in the reversal of that, we have a pucker, and you'll see I get a negative amount here. So pucker moves them inward or towards the center, these segments, and my anchor points are actually moving outward. So the anchor point has moved out here, or it appears as though it has. All right, so if this is what I want, I click OK. Again, here's my pucker and bloat. I can turn it on, I can turn it off, and if I want to edit, I can just click on it and it brings up my pucker and bloat, so I can decide to change this if I want. Make sure, again, you check Preview to see what's happening. Click OK, and there's my shape again. So that's the pucker and bloat, and you can do some really fun things with that. Let's just move that back down, and again, let's create another box here. I'm going to create it a little bit smaller this time. And we're going to look at twist. So twist allows us to twist my object. It rotates the object, and you can play with the total effect. It kind of gives a whirlpool effect. Now in this effect, it's a good idea to add anchor points. So adding anchor points really makes that effect smoother. So if you remember how to add anchor points, I'm going to go under Object, and I'm going to go to Path, and I'm going to choose Add Anchor Points. I could actually use my pen tool and manually add them on the line segment, or I can choose Add Anchor Points, and that will add an anchor point in between every existing anchor point. So what I just added was this one, this one, this one, and this one. So now my box has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 anchor points rather than 4. So this will give a little bit of a smoother effect when I choose my twist. So under the Effect menu, Distort and Transform, on to Twist. Again, turn that preview on. We want to see what is happening. And if I can use my little arrows to increase, decrease, or I could add type in an amount. So if I say I want to angle a 45 and I'm going to press Tab, if I press Enter, it will go OK and apply it. So there you can already see, let's do a 90. So again, it's a twist. So there's the effect. I can increase, and I'll just keep holding this down, and you can watch it update and see how it is twisting. So that is really kind of a fun. Now if I were to have more anchor points, this would just add more of a twist to it. Okay, so again, my twist is editable. I can turn it on, turn it off, and I can double click and change my amount. All right, so that's the twist. Let's go ahead and go back to, I'm going to just move this one up a little bit. Let's just drag layers out so we can see what's going on here. Clean up our interface just a minute. I'm going to turn this layer off, and I'm going to go back to the flower.